First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope everyone's celebrations are going well. A little bit earlier than we do in the U.S., but that's all right. That's all right. And also, it's strange to be not welcoming everyone to New York City. We've all gotten used to these virtual conferences, but just so you know, my heart is with Canada. I actually live in Buffalo. I'm not in New York City right now. I'm in Buffalo, and from my house, I can see Canada. And so I live right near the Peace Bridge. I cross over with great frequency and missed this summer of boating over to Port Colborne and other places, which are usually our destinations as we enjoy the shared border with Great Lakes, Lake Erie in particular, and the Niagara River. And also I do want to mention that the summer was a little more spiced up for us than we expected as Buffalo became the home to the Toronto Blue Jays. And so I thank Mayor Tory for allowing us to call them the Buffalo Blue Jays for the summer. They had an extraordinary season, and while we couldn't see them in person, it fostered that closer bond that we have through sports and trade and family. I mean, so many people in Western New York, where I live in the north area of New York State, which borders Quebec, they're not even being able to go to their summer cottages and go see family members. And so it's been a really tough situation for that disconnect because we're usually so close. And that's a relationship that I've fostered since my days in Congress, where I was very much involved in creating opportunities to have cross-border trade, how important it was to alleviate some of the pressure at the border crossings, which was real detriment to the flow of commerce and the supply chain, which we needed to keep open. You think about industries that are thriving in New York State, Bombardier, building subway trains in New York City and hydropower from Quebec coming to New York City, which is what we're hoping will be occurring soon. So the synergies are great. And as our economies are intertwined in that sense and are great trading partners, I know Canada trades more with the state of New York than it does with China. And Canada is New York State's largest export destination. So this is a friendship that's been sustained through some tough times, but also both of our economies have been hard hit. So what I want to just talk about for a couple of minutes is of how New York State has been dealing with the pandemic. So there might be some lessons to be learned. And I will tell you right now, I heard from the governor yesterday on our call that our infection rate in the state of New York, once the epicenter of the global pandemic, where we had more cases than anywhere in the world just a few short months ago, we now have the lowest infection rate in the nation. We are at 1.1%. And that's if you factor in our hotspots, which are really concentrated. We call them micro hotspots in specific neighborhoods in Brooklyn and Queens, and those are averaging about 3.7%. So compared to the rest of the nation, our hotspots are still lower than the statewide average in many other states. And, we're not spiking the football here. We're not saying, we're out of the woods yet. We know that we're still vulnerable to the second wave, which I know is hitting some of the parts of Canada. I know there's concern. It was starting to be some shutdowns in Quebec starting October 1st. I noted that. And what's happening in Toronto, all this affects us because we are so linked. Our economies are so intertwined here. So what we did was, in order to get that down, we have been adamant, just like Prime Minister Trudeau has worked with Governor Cuomo to ensure that people just do simple things like wearing the masks. Our state was fanatical about mask compliance. The states that are in trouble now are the ones where the governors paid attention, unfortunately, to the president's message that a mask is not that necessary, and they're now paying the price with record hospitalizations at a time when we are seeing those numbers continue to decline. So social distancing, mask wearing, disinfecting, we got New Yorkers who are really, by and large, an independent group of people to adhere to this because of sustained disciplined messaging based on science and data. But the key to all of this is testing. Yesterday, we tested over 100,000 people and the contact tracing. So I know there's talk about whether or not how this is important. If you don't do contact tracing, you don't solve the problem. So that's how we're looking at it. But now I'm also focused on the economy and our comeback, and we're looking to move forward with a Build Back Better strategy. I've covered every corner of the state in the last couple of days talking about workforce development initiatives, investing in people because so many people lost their jobs, and jobs may never come back. As companies are trying to figure out how to right size and make up for lost revenues, there may not be as many hospitality workers coming back, the restaurant workers, people work in hotels and various service industries. And the whole concept of working from home. that may not go back to normal ever again. And so what does that do to real estate in places like Manhattan, which is the bread and butter of our economy for the entire state of New York? So we're focused on figuring out how to rethink telehealth services, teleeducation, teleworking, and are there best practices and lessons that came out of this pandemic where we can actually do things smarter and more efficiently? So we're continuing to build. Our infrastructure projects have not been sidelined. We're focused on that because they're important for the economy, but also keeping people working, which is critically important. So when you look at our economy overall, yes, we have unemployment, but those numbers are continuing to decline. We believe that we'll be one of the first states to become COVID-free because we are so intense on not just the compliance, but also the enforcement. We've gone into over 100,000 establishments to make sure that they're following our rules in terms of social distancing and mask wearing. It's not a position any government likes to be in, but as a result, we're seeing much better outcomes. And so those are some of the lessons quickly from what we've had to experience dealing with the COVID crisis and now have the lowest infection rate in the nation, as I said. So we're going to continue that, looking for more ways to partner with Canada as we rethink our economies and supply chains and making sure that there's opportunities for Canadian businesses as well as American businesses in Canada and New York businesses in particular. So I'm offering that the relationship only grows through this. When you've been in a foxhole together, as we have with this long shared border and a long shared history, that we are going to emerge from this even stronger. And it may sound like pie in the sky, but I know there's a lot of perhaps cynical people or people look at just the numbers. We're looking at the numbers as well. The numbers are driving our recovery. Our recovery is on track, and we'll be one of the first places to emerge from this stronger than before. So I appreciate the opportunity to say hello to everyone. And these are important conversations to continue. Certainly a year ago when you had your 7th annual conference, there's no way you would have figured we'd be having this conversation about how to bring back our economies stronger than ever before. But we are so, as I keep using the word, intertwined. Our economies are linked. Our economies, but also our friendships, our relationships are going to continue to endure through this. And so thank you for letting me say hi, and good luck with the conference.